Am I just going? Would you guys want to say something?
No, actually, I think we're just going to be having some mic issues, so I will jump right in. Has everybody welcome to our final session for our CyberConnect Day. It's been wonderful to have everybody. And I now turn the stage to Francesca.
Welcome to the last session. Hello?
We can hear you, but it's kind of rough.
Can you hear me?
With a lot of feedback.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is the last session. Thank you so much, Kaiser Clark, for being here. We are having a demo on Nmap for Hackers 101. So thank you for your time and dedication to show us the demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Francesca. I appreciate you inviting me here, and glad to be here.
So one more just housekeeping thing. Kaiser, just make sure you re-add your media, just because it dropped off when you did, so I can share that when you're ready. We're gonna drop off now. We'll see everybody at the end, and excited for this. And just let us know when you want us to add the media, and we'll pop it in.
There we go. Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Kaiser Clark. I currently work as I'll go ahead and end my screen now, if you don't mind. Yeah, so my name is Kaiser Clark, like I said. Currently work as a full-time penetration tester, and I make a lot of content, and I try to help as many people as I possibly can either break into cybersecurity or level up in their cybersecurity careers. It's literally the thing that I am absolutely obsessed with, and that's why I make the amount of content that I do. So if you're interested in leveling up or breaking into the cybersecurity field, definitely check out some of my content. I'll have links at the end of the presentation. I have over 7 years experience in cybersecurity. I started out in cyber defense operations in the United States Air Force, active duty, and then once I got out of active duty Air Force, I became a full-time penetration tester for a consulting firm called Kirkpatrick Price, and that's what I'm doing right now. I've been in my current role for a year and a half. I have 19 cybersecurity certifications, and I love certifications, and they've helped me grow my career tremendously, and it's been the number one thing that's been helping my career out. So a huge fan of certifications. I'm very bullish on certifications, despite what the certifications haters are saying. I also have a master's degree and bachelor's degree in cybersecurity management policy from University of Maryland Global Campus, UMGC. And like I said, I'm a United States Air Force veteran. So this demonstration inspired one of my videos, See Everything with Nmap. It's basically Nmap for cybersecurity beginners. So if you are watching this and I go a little too fast, don't worry. And I would highly recommend checking this out after this demo if you want to get the commands. So don't worry about taking like super good notes. Just really just try to grasp the concepts at a high level. This is very beginner level stuff. So if you are already in the field of cybersecurity, this is going to be a lot of a refresher for you. But if you're brand new, then this is going to help you out. And the reason why I chose this is because for two reasons. Number one, I chose Nmap for a demo today because Nmap is the only tool that I use as a pen tester every single day. When you do Hack the Box or Try Hack Me, or you're doing CTF boxes, Nmap is the one tool that you use every single time. And that's one reason why I decided to show Nmap today. And the other reason why is because this is actually one of my most popular videos, although I do have 2 tech demos that are actually passed it up in views. So if you're interested in some of my other tech demos, I'll give you links to that as well on my YouTube channel. And that's all the slides I have. We're just going to get straight into the demonstration here. There we go. And there we go. So you see I have my Kylix terminal, and I didn't do anything really to prepare for this demonstration because I really wanted to give you the raw, real deal, like this is how you use Nmap type of thing. So the first thing I will say is I am using a Hack the Box machine to do this demonstration. So if you want to know, I have Lame from Hack the Box. It's actually the first ever Hack the Box machine. It's an easy box, very easy to do. Highly recommend for beginners if you're trying to get into penetration testing and ethical hacking or any cybersecurity role. This one's pretty easy that I believe every cybersecurity professional, even if you're not an ethical hacker or aspire to be an ethical hacker, like this is a good one to go through. I'm not going to show you how to solve this entire box. We're just going to demonstrate Nmap in this demonstration. So yeah, that's where this is coming from. So if you want to know how I was able to spin up a lab very fast, it's because of Hack the Box. Now you do have to be a Hack the Box Pro member to get access to the old retired machines, but it's worth every penny. And Hack the Box is not sponsoring it by any means. I just really like the platform. So we're just going to click this and get this to my clipboard. So Nmap, it's so easy to use. You literally, if you have a pen testing distro, I like to use Kali Linux. Feel free to use some other ones, like Parrot OS, and there's some other ones out there. But Kali Linux is my go-to, and I haven't found a reason to switch. And if you don't know how to install Kali Linux, I do have videos on my YouTube channel that show you how to install it with VirtualBox. But Nmap is this easy. You literally just type in Nmap, and then you just paste the IP address, and then you hit enter. And it's going to start a scan. And while it's doing the scan, let me explain to you what it's doing. It's actually already done. So I'm surprised that it came back that fast. Usually it doesn't come back that fast. So what Nmap is doing, it's short for network mapper, and it quite literally helps you map out a network. It helps you understand the ports and protocols on a given machine or within a network if you have multiple machines. In this case, we only have one machine, but you can scan multiple machines at one time, and I'll show you how to do that later. But if you're unfamiliar with a port, think of like a channel, a communication channel that a computer is using. So for example, if the computer wants to speak HTTP, which is the protocol that we all use when we browse the internet, it typically does that on port 80. If it wants to do HTTPS, which is a secure version of HTTP, it does that typically on port 443. And when you go to Google Chrome and you type in www.kaiserclark.com or www.youtube.com, it uses HTTPS. And if you force HTTP, typically, if it's following good cybersecurity practices as it should be, it should automatically switch HTTPS on 443. And that is the ports that HTTP and HTTPS are running on. However, it's very important to understand that just because the well-known port, for example, HTTP runs on port 80, just because that's a well-known port for port 80, that doesn't mean port 80 has to run HTTP. I can put SSH, as a secure shell, on port 80. I can put HTTP on port 8080. That actually happens a lot. You can put HTTP on port 3473. There's 65,535 ports overall, and the well-known ports are, man, I should know this off the top of my head, but it's like 1,035, I think, the top one at work consider well-known ports. I probably had that number wrong, but it's really not that important to know that fact, but maybe some certification exams have that, something you have to memorize. So that's what ports and protocols do. Like I said, there's over 1,000 well-known ports. And this machine here has port 21 open, 22, 139, and 445. And when you run a basic Nmap scan, you can see that, 21, the well-known port for port 21 is FTP. The well-known port for 22 is SSH, that stands for Secure Shell. And FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. And 139 and 445, that's NetBIOS, and this is SMB. SMB is server message block. But like I said, just because port 22 is open doesn't mean that this is SSH. This could be anything. Nmap's just taking a guess because all we did with this basic Nmap scan is just to see what's open and what's it doesn't tell you what's closed, it just tell you what's open, but it's just knocking on the doors. And when you run a basic Nmap scan, it's only running the basic Nmap scan on the top 1,000 ports. I think it's what it's running on. And you can scan all the ports so if I just hit up arrow key on my keyboard here to hit the same command. If I want to run all ports, I can do -p- like this. That's the easiest way to run all ports. If I want to scan, just say 21 by itself, I would just do -p- 21. And let's say I wanted to run multiple ports, I would do 22, 443, 445, and so on and so forth. But -p- is the way to do all the ports. You could do a range as well. So you can do -p1 through 65,535. That's actually all ports as well, but it's obviously easier to do -p-. But let's say I only wanted to do, port 80 through port 8080, and then you would do it like that. So that's how you would do that. Oh, by the way, I should have said this earlier. Let me show you. So here's my GitHub. And this is why you don't need to memorize all the flags, by the way. So here's my GitHub. I have this as a free resource for anybody to get. If you go to my repos, you go to my hacking notes. I got tons of hacking notes in here, and some of those are Nmap. So I have an entire repo, or sorry, an entire folder within the repo called Nmap. And you click on Nmap, and you can see scan types. Go into scan types, and we got a whole GitHub that tells you all different types of scans. And we're not going to go over all of this, because Nmap can get a little bit more advanced. I'm just sticking with the basic stuff here. But you can see there's a lot that goes in Nmap, and because there's a lot to go in Nmap, I documented it, and I constantly come back here because I don't memorize every single thing about Nmap. So if you are getting confused, like, oh my gosh, this is a lot to know, it's like, don't worry. It's like, I don't memorize everything either. That's what good documentation does. But yeah, you can see there's different flags. You see -p- all ports. You can see the range. -f is the top 100 ports. You can do -- top port for top however many ports you want to do. So you can do top port, 2,000 top ports. PN, this is very important. It disables host discovery. I almost always do this one because Windows machines by default ignore pings. And an Nmap scan, a basic Nmap scan, will ping the target before it starts scanning it. And if it doesn't get a ping response back, it won't scan it. But just because pings are disabled doesn't mean there's no ports open on it. So disabling the host discovery, which is pings, can show ports of targets that are not responding to pings. So I almost always do -pn if I know that the target's there. That never do DNS resolution. This one's a good one to throw in too sometimes. I don't really use this one that much, to be honest with you. But if you know a machine's there and you're not able to contact it, then you can throw that in as well. And you can slow down the rate here. -T, you can speed it up, and you can slow it down. So by default, it runs on -3. If I want to speed it up, I do a -T4. So let me show you what that looks like. So if I was gonna do, like, if I never did a tactile box machine before, this is what I would do, and I'll explain this as I go. So I would do Nmap dash -A, which in my mind it's -all, which is a combination of -SV, which stands for service version, -O, which is operating system detection, and -- script. No, sorry, not script. It is -- SC, which is the common scripts, not -SC, just one dash. You can specify single scripts with -- script equals. I like to do vuln sometimes, and I'll show you that here in a second. But that's why I got a little confused there. But -SC runs the most common scripts in the Nmap scripting engine. So Nmap can do a little bit more than just your basic port scanning. So as I said, -A is a combination of all three of these. So 9 times out of 10, I'll just do a -A. Now, you can get different results if you do a -A and then you specify all 3 individually. And I've seen some machines spit back different results by doing different things. But nowadays I'm doing -A because it's just easier to memorize. I'll throw in a -PN. Sorry, capital P, lowercase n. Capitalization does matter in these flags. So I disabled pings, and then I would do -P- to do all ports, and then I would do -T4 to speed it up a little bit. I don't do -T5 because -T5 is so fast that it will miss open ports. So I don't like to go -T5, and -T4 is pretty reliable. I've actually never seen it fail on me, and it speeds up just a little bit, and which is important because we're going to be scanning 65,535 ports. And then I would throw in the IP address. And I would just hit enter on that, and I would let the scan go. And sometimes these take a long time. Sometimes they don't. This should take a little bit of time to do. In my YouTube videos, I could just cut this part out and then I go. But in the live demo, obviously, I can't cut it out. And we'll see what this shows. And then after that, I will show you what we're gonna be doing past that. What like the next stage of Nmap. Back to the Nmap GitHub here. So you can see there's different kind of scans. So we have ping scans, ARP scans, ICMP echo scans, timestamp scans. There's all kinds of different kinds of scans you can do, and it shows you how to do it. I typically don't really mess with these. I really only mess with like the SYN scans and the UDP scan. So UDP, if you want to scan a UDP, that's -PU. And I think flat. Oh, okay. So if you don't know the difference between UDP and TCP, UDP is like a continuous data stream. TCP is a reliable protocol, or it's like a three-way handshake. We're not going to get into like the differences too much, but just know if you're really unfamiliar with TCP and UDP, UDP is considered unreliable because it's a continuous data stream. It can drop packets, but it's a little bit faster. And TCP is reliable because it sends a SYN, and then one computer sends an ACK, and then the other computer sends a SYN ACK back, and it's called a three-way handshake, and that's really important that you know that. So we got a TCP connect scan. So TCP connect scans are more reliable because they make a full connection. A SYN scan used to be considered a stealth scan. It's not really considered a stealth scan anymore because it doesn't make the full three-way handshake. But not doing the full three-way handshake actually is faster. And matter of fact, I actually should have thrown in the -P capital S on this command to make it a little bit faster to speed it up. But we're already halfway through, so we're just gonna roll with this. But the results, the results between a SYN scan and a TCP scan, it's going to come back the same thing. Like I said, the only difference is TCP scans might give you some more information. It's going to be more reliable, but it's going to be slower. And you'll absolutely be detected if they have any kind of basic detection measures in place. And the SYN scan used to be called a stealth scan. Maybe even might still be called a stealth scan. It's not really stealthy because the detection measures are good enough to detect the SYN scans nowadays, but it does speed it up because it doesn't make the full connection. And UDP scans take stupid long. So if you're doing a UDP scan, you might as well just take the rest of the day off. It takes a long time. Trust me. Like I will never scan more than 1,000 UDP ports because it takes a long time. Because there's not a reliable connection, it's hard for Nmap to determine if it's open or not. And UDP scans just take a long time. And you see there's advanced scans here. We're not going to get in this because this is 101. I do want to make a YouTube video eventually on advanced Nmap. But yeah, you can do so many things with the zombie scans. I mean, that sounds cool. But yeah, there's so many things you can do with Nmap. Highly recommend diving deeper if you are already at the basic levels. But for now, we're not going to get in these advanced scans. All right, we have our scan finished. Cool. So as you see, we got a lot more information here. So this is what our first one is, our basic scan result, and as you see, we have so much more information here, which is nice. So we can see that FTP is open. It logged in as FTP, which is that's a vulnerability right there, actually. Um, and it tells us the version here, which is really nice. We can get the version here as well. And we can actually go look up like, hey, is VS FTP 2.3.4 vulnerable to any type of attacks? And if there's an exploit for it, then that's an easy win because someone might already made an exploit for that. Or a documented the process of how to exploit it. SSH here is also open. We already knew this, but what we didn't know is it was running open SSH 4.7 P1, and we now know it's running Debian or Ubuntu here, and it's just giving us way more information than we had before, and that's the power of the -A up here. We can see that it's running. So I said SMB. It's actually running Samba, which is the open source version. SMB slightly different because SMB is technically closed source. It's because Windows owns it, but Samba is the open source version of that. And we got some versions here as well, and that's more. This is called enumeration. The whole point of as a hacker, as an ethical hacker, as a penetration tester, I'm trying to understand this machine as much as I can, and this is literally the first step. In any CTF event, any hack to machine, any try hack me challenge, and real world pen test too. This isn't just theory. This is what I do in the real world every day. And you see the operating system. It's just guessing, but it looks like it's running Linux 2.6 dot something, and it's 92% confident on this. We have a Belkin embedded, so it's just taking guesses here and giving you a percentage. Typically, you can figure out if it's Linux or Windows because you can see it's like, okay, Linux. Like I don't see Windows in here at all, so there's a very good chance that this is a Linux machine, and that's the power of the dash capital O, which is part of the -A. And we can keep scrolling here, and we got some more. So it ran some scripts here. So sometimes they can find the NetBIOS computer name. I got the domain name, so it's hackthebox.gr. It gave us the fully qualified domain name, so that's lame.hackthebox. So that we know this to be true because the machine that I showed you earlier was lame from hackthebox. What else can we do? Obviously, there's more information here, but not all the information is relevant. Like right here, the clock skew could play a factor because sometimes when you do Active Directory attacks, like their clock has to be synced with your target, and if you're not synced with the target, then it's not going to work. So having the clock skew here will help us sync our clock with the target to do some exploits. So now what I would do, like if I'm doing this for the first time, I now have a list of ports. I got port 21, 22, 139, 445, and actually look, we got 3632, which we didn't know before. See, we came up here, the basic nmap did not show us that because this 36, what was it, 3632 is not a well-known port. So we got this here, which could be a vulnerability that we wouldn't have known otherwise if we didn't do the I would consider this a deep scan. I wouldn't call it an advanced scan because it's still pretty basic, but this is I would consider a deep scan. This would be like a basic quick scan here. So now that I know the ports, the one thing that I would do is I'm going to do even more in-depth scanning after doing all the ports. So I would do like -- script equals vuln here, and I would only scan the open ports. So we got 21, 22, 139, 21. Oh, I have insert on. I hate insert. Okay. P 21, 22, and we would just put the ports here. But I'm going to show you a cool thing on my GitHub that literally automates this, because sometimes there's like 40 ports open and typing it, and they're like 37 to 24, like they're like weird big numbers, and you'll have like a huge list of ports. And I don't like to manually crunch in the port. You can do that, but I got tired of manually crunching the ports because one, it takes time, and two, you can typo. And if you typo a port, it can actually mess up your entire game. You can be smashing your face against a brick wall because you accidentally typoed the port. So to solve that problem, I wrote a script. So let's go back to my GitHub here. And we're going to go into my hacking notes. And you're free to use this script as much as you want. There's a reason why I put it online here for everybody. By the way, my GitHub is github.com/Kaiser Clark. My first name is spelled Kyser. And yeah, we would go into scripts. Then we would go into fix 4K. This is a nice one. I'm going to make a video on this one soon. It fixes the 4K issues. So openports.py is a so it says right here, this Python script takes any nmap scan output file as an argument and prints all open ports on a single line separated by commas. This is useful to follow up scans on the open ports with the -p argument. So as I said, if I want to do the -p on the scan, the ports that I know that are open, I'm going to have to do -p, 22, 21, 80, 4, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of ports. But I want to automate this, so I wrote this script. So what you would do is you could do like a wget and download this, but I think the easiest way sometimes is just come up here and click copy raw file. And let's just open up a new tab real quick. And then I would do a nano or V or whatever text base. You can even use mousepad. Mousepad's probably more beginner friendly. Mousepad, and I would call this ports.txt. You can call whatever you want. And then I would, in this document, I would just take actually, I'm not sure if this is going to work. We'll see if this works. We're just going to put my to a test, because normally I don't do the -a option on this, but we'll see. So I'm going to paste my nmap results in here, and I'm going to save this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, oh, you know what? I forgot to make the script. So let's do a mouse pad. So once again, I'm clicking copy the raw file of my openports.py, and we're putting in a file. So we'll call it openports.py. And we're pasting that script. Ooh, I pasted it twice. Paste that script in the file and hit save and close. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do Python 3 openports.py, and then we're going to supply the file with our ports.txt. And as you can see, it automatically reads all that output and spits it back to us like this. So then all I have to do is copy this line and plug it in our command here and just paste. Boom. I don't have to typo. I don't have to type in anything manually. Super easy. And there's a couple steps here to come down here and get this file. But once you grab this file, you don't have to grab it again. Like, it's just on your Kali Linux box. So saves a lot of time. And what I would do is I would run a get rid of the -T4, because we don't want speed here. We want more depth. So I'll purposely slow it down here, and we'll just run -script bold, and we'll see what it gives us. This should take a little bit less time because it might take a little bit more time because it's doing the vulnerability scanning as well, but we're only scanning on the 5 ports there. Now, vulnerability script can show some very outdated stuff. It's not the latest and greatest. It's not the end all be all. Like, there's vulnerabilities that are not detected by this, but it is a way to find vulnerabilities in machines that are older. So I know for a fact, lame, like I found a vulnerability just by doing the dash script vuln. You can see it's showing us here's a CVE that's a DOS attack here already, and it's going to give us a bunch of CVEs. If you don't know what a CVE is a way to basically document vulnerabilities. It's a common vulnerability. What does the E stand for? Common vulnerability exposure. I feel like I should know what the E is, but CVEs are just a way to document the vulnerabilities that are out there. And by the way, finding CVEs and getting them published is a great way to stand out for hiring managers and recruiters, because that shows you found vulnerabilities in real apps that no one else found. It's basically like finding a 0 day and reporting it to the vendor, and then the vendor acknowledging that, yes, this is a vulnerability. Boom, here's the published article. Here's the published work. And here's your CVE number. And it's ran by MITRE, by the way, which is a industry standard. So while that's running, let me show you something really cool. I like this tool called RustScan. So if you just Google RustScan, oh, someone else. Let's do GitHub. Maybe they changed it. RustScan. It's github.com/RustScan/RustScan. Here we go. So I really like this tool right here. RustScan is a sweet tool. We're not going to go over all this, but what RustScan does, it just takes Nmap and makes it super fast. It is using Nmap in the background, and it's not recommended to run RustScan in a production environment. I would only run it in a non-production environment or on a CTF machine or a hack-the-box machine, but could definitely speed up the process in your labs and non-production environments that aren't critical, because it's so fast that it could actually crash a production environment. So you can actually install it if you do this. If you do if you're not sure how to install packages, you can do like an app install RustScan, and then we'll install RustScan. Maybe not. I actually don't have RustScan installed on this box. Interesting. I thought I did. But moral of the story, RustScan, very fast, and I highly recommend it. But that's it just uses Nmap in the background to scan really fast. All right, that scan's done. And you see we got way more information than we did before, because we did the dash script vuln. And there's other scripts that you can run to get different types of information. But as you can see, it shows us like different CVs. You can see exploits, like these are potential exploits. Now, a lot of these are like kind of BS, and like it's not a real exploit or like a usable exploit. And sometimes the machine, it might be more vulnerable to it, but sometimes these exploits just aren't good. But this is a way to find exploits, and I have solved several CTF boxes by like just randomly looking up like these 10 out of 10, these 9.8s, like these high numbers. Like anything that's like above an 8 is definitely worth looking into. That could lead you to popping a shell. And I think the way you pwn this machine is actually on right here, port 3632. You can see it's vulnerable right here, vulnerable, executable, exploitable, and then CVE 2004 26 28. And that is how you actually get a shell on this box, get the first flag, and break into it. So that's why the dash script vuln is pretty nice to have. Like I said, it's not the end all be all, and if you are going against a somewhat hard target, like the dash script vuln doesn't do a whole lot, and it doesn't replace regular vulnerability script regular vulnerability assessments like Nessus or OpenVOS. So keep that in mind as well. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's Nmap in a nutshell. That's Nmap 101. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But like I said, this was a lot of information in a short amount of time. And I highly recommend, let me pull up my slides here. So I highly recommend checking out this video. It's on my YouTube channel. If you want my YouTube channel, you can scan this QR code. Let me pull up the chat. Actually, I don't know. Is there a chat going on? I don't know. Where's my stream? Hold on. I don't know where my StreamYard went. StreamYard. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Sorry, I had a lot of tabs open. So yeah, there you go. I have other tech demos, and I can see the chat now if anybody wants to send a message. On my YouTube channel, scan this QR code, brings up a playlist, has a playlist of a bunch of technical demos. This Nmap video is part of that playlist. So if you want a refresher or you need time to like pause the video and rewind it, and that's what this video is good for. And like I said, I do have my GitHub too. And I have, like I said, other tech videos, hands-on technical demos. These are very hands-on, very technical, nothing but terminal in these. And you can see I got Wi-Fi pen testing. I got how to use responder. These are my top 2 videos. That's why I put those there, because people are interested in Wi-Fi pen testing and stealing passwords with responders, I guess. And Nmap, I think Nmap's my 3rd most popular, which is what I just showed you today. And if you want to connect with me, you can do that. I have a website, kaiserclark.com. My LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/kaiserclark. YouTube /kaiserclark. Everything's /kaiserclark. Once again, that's spelled KYSER. I run a podcast called the Hackers Cash Podcast. I interview other cybersecurity professionals, other cybersecurity experts in the field. I focus on offensive security, but defenders and other cybersecurity professionals, such as GRC professionals, can also learn from them as well. But it's especially valuable to anybody that wants to break into offensive security or level up in their existing career. And if you scan that QR code, it takes you to my Connect page on my website. It's not malware, I promise you. And then I have a newsletter where I write my thoughts of what's going on in the industry. Sometimes it's motivational stuff. Sometimes it's what I think's going on in the field. Like my latest newsletter that's dropping on Monday. I already wrote it. It's going to drop on Monday. It is my top 5 bold predictions of the cybersecurity field, and I'm excited for that when it drops. So if you want to read that, sign up now, because that information doesn't get put onto my other accounts, my YouTube channel, until like 9 to 12 months later. My newsletter is where the latest and greatest ideas I have are. And then feel free to ask some questions. And if you want this QR code, you can connect with me on that left QR code, and that YouTube playlist with my tech demos is on that right QR code. Best way to learn Shell GPT to run Nmap. Any suggestions on learning Nmap with AI? I'll be honest with you, I don't know what Shell GPT is, but any suggestion on learning Nmap with AI? I mean, I would say if you want a flag for Nmap, like I'll ask it, like for example, let me just show you ChatGPT here. I'll show you a quick demo. Like I've actually asked it this question before. I'd be like, I know I can save files of an IMAP scan, but I forget the flag. What is it? And I'd ask it that. And it's going to give me, oh, it's dash, I think it's IA. Is that what it is? Capital A? Yeah, or sorry, OA. See, I don't even know. I don't know the flags. It's almost pointless to memorize flags, guys. It's almost pointless because you can get the answers that fast, or you can go to my GitHub and get the flags there too. But honestly, ChatGPT is a lot faster, and sometimes it gets it wrong. But I mean, it's not life or death here. So, it says if I want dash OA is all, so we'll save all of them. So that's an example. If I want to say how do I do a zombie scan? You just type that in, and it'll tell you how to do it. This is ChatGPT 5, by the way, but you can probably do this with the free version of ChatGPT. So there you go. This is a very in-depth answer. So just ask a question, like literally whatever question you have, just ask it, and it's going to give it to you. So that's a great way to learn. And like I said, it can miss some stuff here and there. Actually, it misses a lot when it comes to technical stuff. Like if I'm trying to solve a hack the box machine, like it can't do it. So you do have to go other results. Is IMAP a tool using CTFs? 100%. As I said at the beginning, CTFs almost always start with an IMAP scan, but it's also used in the real world. Like we use IMAP on every engagement. Sometimes I use it multiple times because I want more information about a particular port. So IMAP is used everywhere. What certs, if any, is IMAP covered? That's a good question. I mean, I would say like the CompTIA Pentest Plus will kind of give you like a basic thing of IMAP, like that on that exam. It'll say, hey, what's IMAP used for? Oh, mapping on a network and finding ports and services would be like the answer to that. But it's not hands-on. So, you need to do hands-on certifications. And for pen testing certifications, it's like EJPT, PMPT, PJPT, OSCP. These are some harder certifications. They're hands-on, but you'll definitely be using IMAP in those certifications. How much time should we dedicate to being proficient at IMAP? I would say a lot of time because you're using it all the time, like literally every day. I use it every day. And knowing how it works at a basic level is great. Like I said, you don't have to memorize everything. There's no point in that. And you're gonna pick it up automatically. You don't need to do like a dedicated IMAP course. Like if you do any ethical hacking course, any ethical hacking certification, pen testing certification, pen testing course, like you're gonna get IMAP experience throughout the course, right? Because you're using it so much that you're going to pick up a piece of knowledge as you go over time. So don't worry about like, oh, I need to spend 2 weeks learning it. It's not like that. It's like, watch a video or two and practice with it. Like do the Try Hack Me in Map Room, that Hack the Box Academy in Map Room. And then after that, like you just pick up things as you go through your journey. How to learn documentation for pen testing. Is there a good way to learn how to document and what to document in IMAP? Any good books or sites to learn IMAP? Documentation. So documentation is different for everyone. Like everyone takes notes differently. So you got to figure out how to take notes like the best way for you. As you can see, let me find my mouse here. Where is my GitHub? So I would say this is how I document stuff. This is the best example I have. It's in my hacking notes. Like I have different sections here. Now these aren't all my hacking notes because like OffSec, for example, they don't let you share what's going on, and same thing for Hack the Box Academy. But this is how I document stuff. I would, write a little bit about it and then write the command. And I always put things that you have to fill in. It's for brackets. That way, when I copy and paste, it's like I know what to fill in there. I would say don't worry about documentation too much. Just get started with it. Just write stuff down, and then as you write stuff down, you're gonna realize that you wish you would have wrote down more. And then when you get later in your journey, you're gonna start writing down extra tools. What tools do you use to stay organized? I use Microsoft OneNote. A lot of people don't like OneNote, but it's been working for me. I like OneNote because it's installed by default on Windows. Windows is my primary operating system, and it's just automatically there. Like it's already installed, it automatically backs it up, and I like OneNote. And I just sort it out by because you can have different notebooks, and then you can have tabs within a notebook. So for me, like my notebooks look like I got a hacking notebook in my OneNote. I have a content creation notebook in my OneNote. And then inside content creation, I have video ideas as a tab. And then I have um, podcast ideas in a tab, and hacking notes. Like I would be like, oh, here's my OSCP notes in a tab. Here's my CPTS notes in a tab. Can you please share an example where Nmap revealed critical vulnerability and what legal considerations we should have always keep in mind before performing scans? Yeah, that's a good question. Always scan. I should have said that disclaimer at the beginning, actually. But always ensure you have legal permission before you scan any type of system, because it is an active thing. And by active, I mean like you're sending actual packets to that machine or server or whatever it is, and you can't just scan whatever you want. Only scan things that you have legal permission to scan. That's why I recommend Track and Hackbox, because they have machines and networks that you can play around with without going to prison, because those are the legal consequences if you scan like someone else's server on the internet. Don't scan like random people's servers online. When you find a vulnerability, what's the workflow following malicious detection? Yeah, so when I find a vulnerability, it depends on the severity. If it's a low severity, I just document it and write about it, and then I put it in the report, and then I give it to my client at the end of the engagement. But if it's a higher critical, then I will document it, but then I alert them immediately, and then I'll show them a demo, kind of like what I just showed you guys. Like, hey, this is how I found a vulnerability. Here's why it matters, and then let us know what you want to do. Should we go deeper? Should we stop? For malicious detection, I'm not a defender, so I don't really worry about detection too much. So I'm not the best person to ask for that, because I've never worked in like a SOC or a cybersecurity analyst role. What soft skills go with Nmap IA writing reports? I don't know if there's really any soft skills for Nmap. I mean, soft skills in general is important, but like linking soft skills in Nmap, I don't think it's really. I mean, when you write about Nmap, you would write the command, and then you would write like, what does this command do? Like if I'm writing up a report for a client, like, hey, I can see this, and this for this finding because of this Nmap scan. And this is what the Nmap scan is doing. But I don't really explain like every flag. I just do the command that I ran, and then I'm like, this command right here will tell me that this port's open and that this is a vulnerability. This is a finding. How long did it take you to become a pen tester? It took me from the day I decided to be a pen tester to the day I became a pen tester about 5 years. But I had to wait 5 years because I was under contract in the military, so I had no choice, because I couldn't just you can't just quit the military in the United States. So, I had to wait that 5 years. But what I will say is, if I was in the military, I still think it would have took 4 or 5 years, because it's a long process. There's a lot you have to know, and if you want to be good, you have to spend a lot of time on the easy stuff, the fundamentals, networking, Linux, scripting, cloud, before you can even exploit your first machine. So it takes a while to understand how these machines work, and then once you understand how it works, then you can start exploiting them. It's a long process. How long did it take you to get good starting point as an ethical hacker? How long did it take you to get good starting point as an ethical hacker? Uh the way I'm reading this is like, how long did it take me to be before I realized like, oh yeah, it's time for me to start doing try hack me, I'm assuming. Um Honestly, it took a couple of years. I got the Security Plus, I got the Linux Plus, I got the CCNA, which teaches you networking. Because I needed those security basics, I needed those Linux basics. You have to know Linux to be a hacker. As you see, I just used Kyle Linux's entire demo. If you don't know Linux, then you're pretty much toast. So understanding Linux, and Linux took me a long time to learn. You can see my bookshelf back there. I have a Linux book, and it's the fattest book on that shelf because Linux there's a lot that goes into it, and it's a little bit different. It's a lot different than Windows. And being brought up on Windows, I struggled to learn Linux at first, but yeah, then I got the CCNA, and then after the CCNA, I got the CISSP, which wasn't necessary, and I got the Cloud Plus, which wasn't necessary, but then I got the Pentest Plus, and which would be the next step after Security Plus, and that was my entry level into pen testing. But that's not a hands-on certification. And after Pentest Plus, I did the EJPT, which is a hands-on certification. What excites you most about your career? Man, that's a good question. I would say the thing that excites me the most is learning as much as I possibly can and then sharing what I know. That's why I make the content that I do. That's the most exciting part of my career. And I don't even get paid to do that. Oh, I don't, you know what I mean? I make a little bit of money off like ad revenue off of YouTube, but I don't make that much money off of it. So that's what's exciting to me the most. When it comes to like what I actually get paid for, what excites me the most is being able to go in a network or in a web app and find vulnerabilities and explain vulnerabilities in the real world. These are networks that are in web apps in the real world, and I can explain to the owners these systems. Hey, here's your findings. Here's how to fix them so a real threat actor doesn't attack you, and that protects people who use these systems. I have pen tested web applications that people I know use. I can't tell you the client and I can't tell you the web apps, but what I will say is I have pen tested applications that people I know use, and finding vulnerabilities in that, and reporting those and hoping that the owner of the system fixes them. That makes the system more secure for the users, and I believe I'm making cyberspace safer and more secure for everybody because the threats are real. The internet is the modern day Wild West. It is a dangerous place. There is threats and risk everywhere. Every time you go online, it's a risk, and protecting people, their digital and their privacy, that's important to me. One last question. How do you recommend tracking my progress while learning Nmap? Mm, to be honest with you, I don't think it's worth tracking your progress learning Nmap. It's just Nmap's just one tool of the overall pie when it comes to like what you need to know as a ethical hacker. And any cybersecurity professional, other cybersecurity professionals, and even system administrators are using Nmap. So I don't think you really need to track your progress. Um, you're going to, like I said, the more you use it, the more you're going to understand. So just keep putting yourself in environments where you're using it. So try hacking. Hack the Box is the best. These are my top two places I like to practice my skills and keep my skills sharp. I guess the best way, like, you're learning Nmap if you can start doing the flags without looking them up. Best red team certs. Yeah, I actually don't have any red team certs, but the first one that comes to my mind is CRTO, the certified red team operator. There's also CRTL, which is certified red team lead, which is, I think, the one level up higher than that.
thank you so much for this in-depth demo that you prepared. Hopefully we see you again in the next CyberConnect. We can learn from you more. And thank you everyone for joining CyberConnect for today and spending the Saturday with us. I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.